Welcome, Mom.
Hi.
Welcome back 6 years later to Trust Me. Our first guest ever, Christine Marie, is back. She's back, and she's got a whole new story to tell.
That's for sure.
That is for sure. Thank you for coming back, Mama.
My pleasure.
So, for those who have not seen it yet, you are here because the Netflix docuseries called Trust Me, The False Prophet. The False Prophet?
Yes.
Okay. The False Prophet centers around the work that you did in this polygamist community in southern Utah in the border town of Short Creek. And so last people heard from you on this podcast, you walked us through the cult leader that we both believed in, the self-proclaimed prophet, and how he separated us and the harrowing stuff that you went through when you were on your own. And people can go back and listen to that episode if they are interested. But we're going to cut to the part where you moved to Short Creek. And can you talk about why you first moved to Short Creek?
Yes. So Tolga, my husband, and we were living in Las Vegas. And I wanted to be helpful to people who had gone through something similar to me. So I was doing activism and advocacy anyway for survivors of human trafficking and survivors of polygamous cults and so on.
Because like there were some young women who had come to stay with you in Vegas, coming out of different cults, and so you guys had kind of been involved in this work already.
Yeah, I was a pretty high-profile anti-polygamy activist at that time. And after my personal experience that we talked about on the first episode, I spent, a good decade studying why my brain went offline, what the hell happened to my critical thinking. And once I understood that, I wanted to be able to turn that knowledge into helping other people. So I had the opportunity to move to this border town, which it's called Short Creek. It's Hilldale, Utah, and Colorado City, Arizona. It's the hub of the FLDS, which are fundamental Mormons, and people were starting to leave the church, and I thought I could help them understand what happened to them. So we moved there.
And why even at the time I was like, you're moving where? Like why actually move there as opposed to just...
Well, if you remember, I wanted a bigger house because I wanted a house where I could take more people in because my house was too small. Mm-hmm. And I had the opportunity to buy Warren Jeff's mansion, 42 bedrooms, and I had to partner with somebody who had come from the community. Yeah, no, true.
Oh my God. 42 bedrooms?
Yes.
And how much was this going for?
$350,000.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Wait, which house is
the Brielle house?
Oh, that house. Okay, spoiler, she did not buy this house, but okay, continue.
I was approved to buy it. You have to be approved to buy something.
I see.
And so, but I wanted it so that I could have people come in and we could do like healing retreats and so on.
Yes.
So that's why I had to move there. I thought, okay, now I'll be in the community so that when we get the house, I can be right here. They closed on my deal without including me.
You had a plan. You had a whole plan in place. We did some filming around some of what this idea was, which was to basically create, what do you call it, like
house
a sanctuary
house of healing
for people coming
right.
out of
Rehab. That's almost rehab.
Yeah.
Exactly. However, at the time, I didn't understand what was happening in the town, and when it occurred to me that if I wanted to be able to help the FLDS, I could not buy their prophet's house. They would see that as desecrating it. So by that time, I realized I have to walk away and take the loss.
And I also want to clarify, when we say mansion, this is I kind of want to paint a picture of what the town is, because it's not like a Beverly Hills mansion. These are basic kind of ugly houses in the town. There's a lot of these houses because they were meant to house these giant families.
Right. It's not that they're ugly. It's just that they're kind of quickly built so that as many children as possible can.
Well,
it's more utilitarian mostly.
Yeah, it's practical.
Yeah.
So it was a big house with all these bedrooms. It was actually more than one house on the property. But it's all good now. I mean, I have a house that I have people in, and it all worked out for the best. But that's why I moved there.
Yeah.
I wanted to help them, but I needed to be there. I just felt it. And even though that didn't work out, other things did.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I started to make a difference.
And so you're there and you start to notice, I mean, the documentary touches on this, but for those who haven't seen, you start to notice that there's something going on with the housing there.
Yes. I wasn't a fan of FLDS people because I was very anti-polygamy. So I assumed that whenever they complained about something that they were just playing the victim.
Mm-hmm.
But when I saw with my own eyes that people were being evicted from homes with the taxes fully paid that had no mortgage, that seemed like a violation of civil rights to me.
Yeah, I remember you talking about this the first time you were on, that these people in the town, they had their homes, they owned them, they'd paid the mortgage, they were up to date, but because they were connected to this Warren Jeffs religion, they were being kicked out of their homes that they owned.
Right. It was because they needed to sign an occupancy agreement, which is a legal thing you need to do, but they thought it was a violation of their civil rights because these homes were dedicated into this trust, a religious trust. The state came, took the religious purpose out of the trust and said, now all of you anybody can get these homes. And in order for them to stay in this home that they paid cash for and built, they had to sign this paper that they felt was a violation of their religion.
Yeah.
That makes sense. So people are getting kicked out because they don't want to sign this piece of paper, and you're witnessing it, and there's a lot of families that are losing shelter.
Right, and I wanted to find a workaround. Why should they have to leave their home just because they still believe in Warren Jeffs? I mean, housing stability is something everybody should have, especially if you have children. So then I did create a workaround, and I became an intermediary between the FLDS so I could sign things or help create things to enable them to stay in their homes where they weren't violating their religion. So this helped me get a foundation to be trusted by a number of FLDS people.
And I want to know more, I mean, and tell me if you think this is interesting, but I want to know more about the anti-polygamy activism turn and like what, what you were so against initially and why it flipped.
I assumed that my experience with my false prophet, where I actually had sort of pseudo sister wives.
Right.
I thought these other women were designated to be my sister wives. He sent me this email revelation thing about how we would be, a family in heaven or something like that. Although there was no ceremony or anything, so I had this mindset that this woman's my future sister wife, so I treated her like my sister wife, and so on, even though we didn't live in the same home. So when I got out of this experience, I was really essentially rescued from this by one of the accomplices, which I talked about earlier. So when that happened and I started recovering, I started really deep diving into how did I lose my critical thinking? How did I believe any of this nonsense? How did I become Truman in The Truman Show, where everybody around me was observing reality and I was living in this fictional world? And everybody knew except me, and they allowed it. And, I was just mind-fucked. Can I say that?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so...
You were.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was rough. So I thought that the answer was in the manipulation caused by polygamy. I thought that's why it happened to me. Even though I wasn't technically in polygamy, my mind was.
Yeah, you were spiritually.
Yes.
Yes. And I will say, like, most of us probably only have experience of polygamy from Sister Wives and Cody Brown. You watch Sister
I
Wives?
haven't watched it, but
Okay. So not the best reputation from the Brown family because, he ends up marrying a very younger wife, and then all the rest of the wives get left behind essentially and stolen from, and there's now a lawsuit. So anyway, when you say Sister Wives, my alarm bells go off, and you obviously were like, oh, this might be bad, but then you kind of realize it's not totally.
When I was an anti-polygamy activist, I actually went on the Sister Wives show and debated the Brown family, and I was
You did?
Yes.
What?
At UNLV, and I was just vehemently against polygamy, and I had all these great reasons. And what I really meant was coercive polygamy. I was never against polyamory. Anything that's just people making choices and not hurting anybody. That's really not what I care about. But it was really the coercion.
Right.
And holding eternal salvation over somebody's head like that. And so, but when I was in the town, I got to know some people who were living polygamy that had left the FLDS church and that were in the FLDS church. And they were all saying the same things. I realized even if I am against polygamy, which personally I am, religiously coerced polygamy, yes, I'm against that. But I realized that I'm really not doing any good sitting on my couch, being a couch warrior, screaming against polygamists, attacking them, and changing nothing.
Right.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Right.
And I'm not convincing them to leave it. I'm not making a difference. I'm not helping them with their trauma. And it just hit me. I need to just stop judging and start helping. And that is my stance. It's not whether I believe in polygamy or not. It's just that I put down my weapons of war and I realized you cannot change minds with facts and attacks.
Amen.
Clock it.
Put that in bold and underline it, you guys.
But that's such a that lesson is so applicable to everything in our
life.
world right now.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's true. There's so many people who are so angry about so many things, often justifiably, but sitting and being angry at people online is like not what it really just achieves nothing.
Oh, it's an epidemic. I mean, even right now, after the documentary, which it just had an incredible worldwide positive response, my former anti-polygamy associates were so angry with me when I stopped being anti-polygamy and just started being friends with people living polygamy, that they started labeling me pro-polygamy, which is bullshit, and enabling child sexual abuse, which is bullshit, and they could not see the facts. So our brains are weird. In the same way I could not see the facts when I was involved with my prophet, they cannot see the facts when it comes to something that they are emotionally invested in.
None of us can.
Just like politics.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, once we've made up my mind.
Once we've made up my mind.
Once we've made up our minds.
Yeah.
Who's good and who's bad. It's like, well, like anything to maintain that cohesion in our worldview.
Yeah, it always surprises me how much we think we are able to overcome that in ourselves, and we're really not.
We're really not.
And you
I mean,
said
we
it,
are if we try.
If we try, but you said it perfectly. We're not wired to. It's just not the way our brains are wired. So whether you're the smartest person in the world or
Keith Raniere,
whether you're Keith Raniere, Australia's Guinness Book of World Records smartest man in the world because he made up the questions for the test, or the kindest person or the whatever, like you just can't outdo your biology, which is that we're humans and we think this way.
That's right.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
we are full of bias, chock full of it.
It's not that I became pro-polygamy. It's just that I realized when I started actually talking to these people and understanding the meaning that their lifestyle had to them, contributed some complexity to their decision-making that, judging them for it wasn't going to help.
Yeah.
And so I call this harm reduction. No matter where you are on your journey, your spiritual journey, it's better to come out of the other side less traumatized.
Yes.
So even if I don't agree with anything, even if I can't stand Cody Brown or his wives, just bitching about him isn't going to reduce the trauma against them that they're experiencing from him or whatever. Can you guys say that better?
Well, I relate a lot to what you're saying because a lot of people in the religion, the cult, the whatever that I grew up in, are very disappointed that I still have a relationship with my family or with people that continue to be a part of the truth, the way, the 2x2s, whatever you want to call it. And they think that those people should all be cut off and that, you know, I shouldn't speak to them anymore and blah, 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 blah. But I don't see any change coming from that whatsoever. So I think it's just a conversation and decision that we all have to make. It's harm reduction.
Yeah, and it's ironic to expect that people should have to cut people off because that's what the cults do.
Yeah.
That's called
amen.
disconnection, and that's called shunning. I mean, that's literally cult behavior. So why would we replicate that in our exit from the group? That doesn't make any sense.
And it doesn't make sense to cut people off if you have even the slightest goal to help them someday. I mean, it's coercion. By you saying, I'm only going to have a relationship with you if you believe in what I believe or if you walk the path I want you to walk, then it's like you're punishing them by saying, I'm not going to have a relationship with you when you don't. So you're trying to, manipulate them with this punishment. And I'm just against all of that.
Yeah.
And you're doing the right thing.
That's right. And I learned from the best. I learned from you. I mean, you were one of the first people that I spoke to that got through to me, luckily, about all of the things that I'm trying to do. But I know you've gotten haters and hate for it, which we won't go into because they don't deserve the space, as we've talked about. But, people don't like it sometimes when you help people or when you connect with people who are in abusive systems, and because they think that's your stamp of approval on the abusive system.
That's right. When in fact, you may end up being the only safe one they can come to in their hour of need.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and we've said this in so many episodes at this point. Like every occult expert says it. Like the best way that you can help is to stay connected, and so that they have some connection to the outside world. Because otherwise, they're just stuck in their closed system and completely isolated, and have no evidence that there are people on the outside that are nice, unlike what their leader is telling them about how everyone's evil.
But there is so much external pressure on us outsiders for having these relationships with people who are stigmatized because of their decisions. It takes a lot of courage to stand up for somebody that the world hates.
Right.
Yeah.
Or your relevant group hates. So for you to maintain your relationship with your family while you're getting heat for it, I respect that.
Thank you. You taught it to me, so it's the circle of life.
Anyway, back to the story.
Yeah, let's get back to it.
So you're in this town. You start making friends with people, and you're like, why was I so angry when I could, treat people with dignity?
That's right.
And then you sort of, develop some trust in this town because you are helping get people online, get kids schooling online, get people fed, get people, resources that they didn't have before. And so how did Sam Bateman first come into the picture?
He was introduced to us by an FLDS woman who was a friend of ours. And he came over with his wife and children, and he bore his testimony, shared his story, and verbalized his testimony like it was a sword from heaven. And do your viewers know what testimony means?
His story?
His story of why he believes and all this faith promoting stuff. And it was just a weapon. That's why we were like, okay, so this guy is really, really zealous.
Well, what do you mean? So basically he's like, I got my faith from blah, 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 and I feel the fire of the Lord. Like what's...
No, he talked about how he went to every day of the Warren Jeffs trial, and he saw all the things, and even though he was tempted to throw it all away, he had this spiritual experience, and it just made him stronger, and so on.
Okay, but was he like charismatic and how?
Oh no, no, but he did recite a poem. So he recited this long poem, and he said that he wrote it in one night, and Tolga and I were like, wow. And
Were you really?
yeah, I
Okay.
mean, the fact that
It was
even
before ChatGPT, Lola.
and the fact that he even memorized it was amazing. Like, I haven't memorized something that long in a while. Later, can I do a spoiler?
Yeah.
Please.
Later, we learned that he spent weeks memorizing it and months writing it, or you know what I mean. And he forgot because he forgot what he told us originally, and then he told us a whole different story later.
Oh
We're like,
my God. That's really funny.
Dang.
Yeah.
A normal man with a touch of poetry in him.
yes, but that poetry was to be drawn upon at will, depending on who he was talking to and which points he wanted to make.
Right.
So it was like a little tool that he could use, a little manipulation tool in his toolbox.
So he's trying to prove, like, I'm really smart and
Yeah,
good
and
at memorizing.
Yeah.
Well, he's sensitive. He's a poet.
Oh, he's a poet. He's an artist. Yes.
Yeah, but that's the only artistic thing I ever saw. And for all I know, he didn't even write the poem.
No,
I'm sure he didn't write the
he
poem.
didn't. I don't.
One of
I,
the
I
girls wrote
it.
the poem.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, somebody else wrote that poem. But I mean, okay, it's so weird to see who he was and then who he became.
Okay, so his wife divorced him
Smart.
because he made a pass on his daughter.
Oh my God.
He offered her $50 to not tell her mom, and he wanted to have a baby with her.
Oh my God.
She
When
was
she was
13.
This animal.
Yeah, so she got home from that trip with him, told her mother immediately,
Good.
and the mother filed a protective order, filed for divorce, and got her and the rest of their family out of there.
Whoa, when was that?
That was about 2018. Oh, or maybe early 2019.
Okay.
Okay, so then Sam...
Did you know about any of that?
I just knew they were getting divorced.
Oh,
And
okay.
then she got a protective order. But his side of the story was different. Well, he's a broken man now. Totally, like, I thought he might kill himself. And he had no money, was just a loser in every way, and now no wife. Then he disappears. And around 2021, he reappears with a wife who looks very young, but she was over 18. I think she was 20. And because the FLDS aren't doing marriages, they're very shunned. He and his young wife are very shunned. And so I'm nice to them. I don't see anything wrong. He just got a new wife. So then he leaves again, and he comes back with 2 carloads of wives.
2 carloads.
2 carloads of wives.
After
How
how
much
long?
is a carload?
Yeah, what size car?
SUVs.
So 12?
Yeah, maybe by that time it was 16, 18 wives. I'm not
Wow.
sure.
And for people who haven't seen the doc, please go watch it, because just seeing the people getting out of the cars is one of the wildest experiences of my life. Like, they'll just open a like suburban door, and it's like a I wanted to say circus, but that makes
Like a
it
clown car.
It's like a clown car,
Yeah.
but that makes it sound nice and funny, but it's
Yeah.
not. But it's just like you're like 12 people come out, and you're like, well, that's as many people as could possibly be in there, but there's just
They
more.
just
and
keep
more
coming.
and
Yeah,
more
Tolga
and more.
commented on it, I think, in the doc. Yeah.
Yeah. There's so many.
Yeah.
So after how long was it between him having this one new wife and him having 2 carloads of wives?
It was maybe I'm really iffy on that. So he had one wife, and then he came back with her sister. So he had 2 wives. All right, but he had no money. I invited them to come with Tolga and I on a photography trip to this ghost town that I love called Grafton, and he sent me a text, and it said, if that involves any money, we can't go because I am so absolutely broke that I couldn't even afford gas. And, I wrote back and said, I mean, you can ride in our car, you don't need gas, but he's so broke he can't afford gas, right?
Got you.
Then he comes back with 2 carloads of women.
Wow.
And children that I thought were just the children of the women. And they were the children of the women. But he has 2 nice cars. He's got nice clothes. He's got all these wives. Sam, who didn't have $10 to his name, he was failing as a rebar estimator. You know what that is?
No.
When you build a house, they have these wire things come up to put in the walls. That's called rebar. His job was estimating rebar.
So you'd just
He
be
was
like,
bad
there's some rebar. That's all you had to do.
You had to figure out how much rebar goes into this construction
Okay.
thing. He wasn't even doing that. He had no money. He tried being an insurance salesman and he failed at that too. So he was a mess. Now he's the king of the world.
Where did the money come from? Who?
The money came from his ability to convert a couple of very key and successful FLDS men into his group.
Right.
Because remember, when Warren Jeffs went to prison in 2006, there were no more marriages because he was the only one that could perform marriages. So no marriages and no babies.
So yeah, this community, that's whole purpose up to this point had been babies.
Yeah,
marriages.
marriage and babies, right.
Gone.
It
So
was 2006?
since 2006 when George Bush was president and Saddam Hussein was still alive.
Wow.
That's how long it's been.
Wow.
So now Warren Jeffs had not communicated in quite a while. So the FLDS people didn't know what to do. They had no direction. They're used to being led. So Sam sees this vacuum and says, here's my chance. So he elevated himself by saying, I am the messenger for Warren Jeffs. He's not really in prison. He's been translated, so he's immortal, and he's speaking to me. And we're starting marriages again, and if you follow me, you can have babies again, too, which means sex. They weren't allowed to have sex.
That's right.
So
So of course you'd want to believe that, like,
girls would want to believe it because they want babies. So
or sex.
or sex, depending, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But in the FLDS, you don't have sex unless it's for the purpose of having a baby.
Right.
So at any rate,
Well, that's what they say anyway. Yeah.
yeah, I'm not in the bedroom to check.
Yeah.
So yeah, so he had something that appealed to them. He became an imposter so that he could play off, or should I say prey off, the loyalty and the love that they had for their prophet. So he's now like, if you loved and had loyalty to Warren Jeffs, I am the guy that's going to give you his messages and let you move forward with your life. So he got a few key families, just a few. Most FLDS wanted nothing to do with him. 95% of FLDS didn't buy it, maybe even 99%. There was really only 3 big families that he was able to recruit, but they had a lot of girls.
And a lot of money.
And so, can you just talk a little bit about why those 3 families would believe him, though? Like, obviously there's incentive to, but also culturally within this, like, lineage of, you know, LDS, FLDS churches, like, that is how prophets are.
Oh, right. I mean, if we take a brief history lesson, Warren Jeffs was the son of the original prophet. Was his name Ronan?
Rulin.
That should be... Yeah, that's a good name for a ruler. He was the original prophet, and he was supposed to be immortal, and then he died. And Warren was like, just kidding, I'm speaking for him now. So Warren already pulled off this con.
Well, a lot of people did.
I wouldn't call Rulin an original prophet because there was a break-off from the mainstream Mormon church in 1890 when they gave up polygamy, and these people said, you know, how can polygamy be required for eternal salvation 1 week? You have to do this to be exalted. And then the next week, for secular reasons, they ban it. Well, then how is that eternal, right? So there was this big break-off, and at the break-off, then there was a different hierarchy of prophets that came down, and that's how Short Creek ended up being a plural community, because it was like a place where people who still believed in that could all be together. So there were lots of prophets along the way.
Yeah, there's lots of lineage, like, after Brigham Young. Is that
So there has to be a prophet, and it leaves room for somebody to be like, and that's me.
Yes, just like
that's how
I went
all of
through.
them were. That's
Yeah.
how all of them were designated. They were like self-designated, basically, right? That's how Joseph Smith was designated as a prophet.
Well, it depends on what you believe, but
That's what
in the
I
mainstream
believe.
the mainstream LDS church, it's the oldest person in the, it's not just you declare yourself, it's the next senior person.
Yes, in the mainstream church now. But the origins of the church are such that generally people didn't see these visions that Joseph Smith was having. He was having them on his own, and a person or two would vouch for him, and that was who everybody believed was the prophet. So it's not weird with that history.
Right. True.
That more, and which is the same thing with the prophet that we believed in. I mean, it's not odd given the history of what defines a prophet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And a prophet speaks for God, my friends. If you want the real truth, you go to a prophet because God speaks directly to him. And of course, I'm kidding, but that is what we believed.
Yeah.
And many people believe. So you don't have to do the thinking. In fact, in the LDS Church, there's, a website, and on the website somewhere I found this article in the church-approved articles that says, you don't have to think. We have done the thinking for you.
Oh, wow.
So that's what, that's how I was controlled and manipulated. I thought, I'm going to trust the authorities, authority bias. And that's what they were looking for. The people who ended up in the Samuelite group wanted authority. And I think the reason they had a vulnerability to it is because when I think of the men that he did recruit, they had been either sent away or had committed adultery or something, which is the sin second to murder.
Oh.
And Sam offered them forgiveness.
Right.
And that was a really big cookie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would probably be like, oh, I can have a community again and kids and a family, and all I have to do is just kind of believe that this guy might be right.
Yeah.
I could see myself leaning into that.
Totally.
Yeah.
I mean, and not to get into how we think again, but we like to believe we're making decisions based on just like rational evidence. But the truth is we choose our community based on incentives like that, whether we're cognizant of it or not.
Yeah.
So it makes sense.
Yeah. If the most important thing in your life is getting back to God and you've messed up,
well,
now there's a path.
Also community. I mean, you've talked about, written about this in your research too. Like, you lose your community, and that's a traumatizing experience. It leaves you completely isolated and often suicidal. And so then a new community is being offered. Like, that's going to seem like just a ray of hope from the Lord.
Yeah, and so when Sam came around, and before him, Moroni was one of Sam's followers, but he might have set the thing in motion in a way, because he found some writings that talked about how you don't have to wait for the prophet to tell you to do anything. You can do it, make your own decisions. Now, that was like heresy, right? But it was in the historical church writings, and he called it self-determination. Got to give
Sam called it that?
No,
or
Moroni called it that. Now, we should be saying, good job, Moroni. Yes, you can think for yourself. If you want to have a baby with your wife, you do it. That's what happened when he started that. Then some girls self-determined that they wanted to be married to Moroni. And he had a couple babies, but there was no prophet involved sealing them. So Sam jumped in on it and somehow did a leapfrog over Moroni. And then with Sam, Moroni was never calling himself a prophet. Sam did. And now with Sam being the prophet now, he took the wives that went to Moroni, all the young pretty wives.
But of age at that point?
Yes.
Yeah.
And then started taking his daughters and demanding them. It was, and the same thing with his other main believer.
Just for context, for those who haven't seen the series, Moroni is one of the few men in the group whose daughters were subject to, he was involved in the abuse.
Yeah. Right. Although Moroni himself wasn't with any underage people, he did not protect his children, and when Sam demanded them as wives, he relinquished them. So he's in prison for many years, And he says, this is exactly where I need to be. I deserve to be here. And he's the only one of Sam's followers that has even expressed any accountability. So, yeah, he basically lost the rest of his life.
For Sam Bateman.
For Sam Bateman, of all people.
Crazy.
You can see how it happened. Like we said, he wanted a community back into a community, and it's very unfortunate that Sam Bateman was the one who saw this opportunity to take everybody down with him.
Yeah, and when he went to court one time, when all of his wives and the people involved in the case had to all be in the same courtroom at one time, he had the opportunity to say, at least about his wives, that committed crimes for him. They're not to blame. I made them do it. It's me. Put it all on me. But he didn't. Was just the coward that he always is, and tried to act as if he was innocent, and didn't do anything to make amends or try to lessen the impact of being in prison on these young mothers.
Right. Yeah, I don't know if the normal lay person can really understand how much churches really demand that women obey their husbands to a very real world extent.
Fundamentalist ones in particular, yeah.
And in this case, if you did not follow along with what Sam said, there was a real threat that you might suffer physical harm.
And what does that mean?
So he was teaching this concept called blood atonement. When Jesus died on the cross and had his blood spilled, that was supposed to cover all the sins of the world. Blood atonement is a fundamental Mormon belief that Jesus' sacrifice did not cover all the sins. There are some things that you can do where you have to spill your own blood. You have to die by the shedding of your own blood so that you will then go to the highest degree of heaven and you can still have an eternal family and all that. So he was teaching blood atonement. It was portrayed as an act of kindness. So in other words, murder.
And kind of like, you don't obey me, you might have to do some
That's right.
blood atonement on yourself.
Yeah, you don't do yourself, but you submit to it or it will be put upon you.
That is so scary.
That's so scary.
He's teaching it all the time.
And hasn't blood atonement been actually enacted in other fundamentalist Mormon groups?
Yes, it has.
Yeah, there's not really a history of it in the FLDS, but there's so many fundamentalist Mormon offshoots that we would
What does
never
that look
have
like?
time.
Like a gun, a cross?
There have been
No,
murders.
Like you're slitting your throat or something.
Yeah, it seems like the blood would have to be.
But
or maybe
in the one group though, it was guns, wasn't it?
Yeah, I believe so. You mean the LeBarons?
The LeBarons, yeah. I think they were just using it because the guy just wanted to kill his enemies. But that was the justification, was blood atonement.
Yeah. So he's teaching this, and we got video of him teaching this, and I asked him, who qualifies for blood atonement? Because this is scary shit.
Yeah.
And he looks at me straight in the eyes and he says, anybody who knowingly goes against the prophet.
And that's him.
That
Goosebumps.
felt like a threat to me.
Goosebumps.
But guess what? All his wives know this.
Yeah.
He's been teaching this. Do they dare not do the things he requires of them? Do they dare not, hide evidence or not
no
go pick
way.
up the girls,
I mean, and that's on top of just like the baseline coercion that's there, which is more along the lines of what you experienced, which is your eternal salvation being threatened, and that itself is so powerful.
Yeah.
Because like that's forever.
Yes.
That's heaven. That's forever. That's being suffering for all of eternity. Like that's already so powerful on its own, and has kept so many people in coercive situations that they never would be in otherwise if they didn't believe this like terrifying thing about the afterlife.
Yeah.
But then on top of that,
Yes.
there's the physical realm threat, which I mean, it's just like another level of coercion that I can't imagine.
Just quick side note, Tolga and I started filming like some archival footage for the FLDS, and we're thinking about doing a documentary just on the FLDS that would take away maybe some of the stigma and help them be less traumatized. We didn't really know. We're not really documentarians. So, but we were filming, and Tolga hoped to make it into a documentary. Then Sam saw some of the clips that Tolga had made. He wanted to be filmed. And I was like, no way. No way. We're not platforming this guy. This is before I knew anything.
Right.
But he still was not being an FLDS guy.
Right.
He was off on his own. Then, as we started to learn more crazy stuff, we realized if we film him, we might get something. We might get some evidence. So we're filming. So we start filming all this stuff. So that's why we have footage of him talking about blood atonement. He was actually planning and trying to involve some family members in killing Moroni and Ludd.
I'm surprised he didn't. I'm surprised that didn't happen.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a very scary situation because then Moroni goes missing. He went missing for days, and the FBI was about to put out an APB on him and have people searching for him because we thought, oh no, we didn't.
What, once you were already working with the FBI?
Once I was working with the FBI. I'm jumping the gun, sorry.
I do remember
Where
people
was
being
he?
worried about Moroni, yeah.
He was in Phoenix, and he was forced to write a confession. So he wrote this big confession of things that he didn't do, but that's kind of what they do, right? They want confessions, and even if they're not really, like Keith Raniere did the same thing.
Yes, I was just thinking of
Wait, what?
He called it collateral.
collateral. Yeah,
Right.
confessions of things you haven't done that blackmail you.
Yeah,
He was doing it for Sam. Or you
yeah. Sam wanted that.
yeah, okay.
Ugh.
In Phoenix for some reason.
Yeah. We, for some reason, we don't know why.
All right, so you guys start filming.
Yeah. So turns out Sam seems to be a narcissist and wants to be filmed all the time.
It's so funny to me. Like, there's the fact that I feel like there's a good amount of, we've had on a good amount of people whose leaders just desperately wanted everything to be documented. And it's like, this doesn't go well for you if someone sees this, right? Like the Sarah Lawrence guy filming everything.
Yep.
So anyway, yeah, it's so crazy to me every time. I'm like, are you sure?
I know. I mean, he was calling us, and his wives were calling us, and they were coming to our house to be filmed.
Yep.
So they were like throwing themselves in front of the camera. And so if there's any question about whether they consented, the answer is yes, 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 and yes. So we just filmed everything and kept turning it into law enforcement, not even deciding whether it was evidence or not. We just turned everything in. The minute we got it, we turned it in. But law enforcement didn't seem to care.
That's one of the saddest parts of this story. And if you hadn't have kept going.
Yeah, I mean, you made a presentation at some point, right?
Yes, I did.
Can you talk about the presentation?
Well, I was very frustrated that when I had an audio recording of Sam confessing ritualistic sexual abuse that he forced 3 of his wives to participate in, one of whom was a child. I had that. I got that audio, and the victims were right there on the audio talking about how how they felt when it happened. So we have the victims and the perpetrator, and they didn't even listen to it for like a couple months later. Then they didn't do anything on it. So I was quite determined that we move this thing forward. To say that I was frustrated is an understatement. And so finally the officer calls me and says, "You're going to be happy about something. Can you come and meet with this interstate committee of law enforcement people, talk about Sam Bateman?" I was like, hell yeah. So I go there. I actually do a PowerPoint presentation. We have people from Utah, people from Arizona. Why are they making an interstate task force when I've been asking for the FBI to be involved?
Right.
The FBI does the interstate stuff, but they wanted to do their own thing, I guess. So I do the presentation. Then they have a meeting down in Phoenix with the FBI sometime later. I don't know, 3 weeks later.
And what's
something.
in the presentation, just briefly?
Okay, so I show the pictures of everybody. I have bullet points of what is happening, what I know, what was said in the tape, things like that. There was proof of
It's
child
a
sexual abuse.
full pitch deck for explaining how there was child sexual abuse.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, I am doing my job.
Here's the child sexual abuse. Here it is on a PowerPoint.
Yes.
Here's where he lives. Here are
Yes,
where
exactly.
they live.
Yeah.
And let's all go there. What my expectation would be is let's get in the cop cars. Wooey, wooey, wooey. That's the sound of the alarm. And we'll go arrest him.
Yes.
Because I just showed it to you.
Yes.
And I've had the same kind of experience with my own group. Like, it doesn't work that way. It's a very long process of getting these people arrested. So you get to go to the FBI.
I mean, I just want to like mention, like, or I guess more ask, like, you know, having done jury duty a couple of times, like, you do need a good amount of evidence to secure a conviction. So was it that a confession wasn't enough because it needed more corroboration? Like, what were they saying?
They needed a victim willing to come forward.
Okay.
And to be fair, I've heard that from other police departments too, that if they don't have a victim willing to come forward, they're not going to proceed with it. So even though there were victims on the tape, if they still believed in him and would lie for him, they would.
That's right. Like, you get them to court and they just say it didn't happen. I mean, then you're not going to win that.
I assumed that there was an investigation because I kept
Correct.
delivering stuff.
Yeah.
So I assumed they were watching it and they would have known that there was interstate activity based on what we delivered, but I don't think they did. And I didn't know until I saw the documentary myself because we didn't produce it. We had no creative control over it. We didn't even see it until 2 weeks before it came out.
Tolga has a producer credit, but he did not have any control over the result.
Right, exactly. So there were things in there I didn't even know.
Yeah.
Because they even got footage from, you know, other places, body cam, other people, stuff like that. But the interstate aspect of it would have enabled the FBI to come. And I was wanting the FBI because I wanted to have recording devices and guidance. And the local law enforcement said they couldn't do that. That had to be FBI. I'm like, well, get the FBI.
Yeah.
You know, and so I was bothering them. So he was excited to tell me about this, you know, task force, and that's great. So finally the FBI gets involved, and then things really took off finally with a lot of progress.
That was so wonderful to see. I will just quickly add, I wish there wasn't a law that a victim had to come forward if you have video of them saying.
Yeah.
Because you're going to get victim shamed, and it's really hard, and a lot of these girls are really young. I don't know. There's just so many laws that I wish we could change.
Yeah. Maybe if they had filmed the crime itself, that would be different. But I guess just the recording of them talking about it.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
I guess I see why that's not quite enough, but it's frustrating. It's certainly frustrating.
It's very frustrating. Yeah.
Yeah, it was. And they were also brainwashed, you know. I know that's not a psychological term, but it's what we say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And they would be protecting him.
And you can see it very clearly in the footage. I mean, our previous guest and lovely friend, Gnomes, you can see she is very much very indoctrinated and, you know, intent on following Sam's orders at all costs.
And you understand why now. I mean, there was always a subtle threat that if you don't, it was more than your eternal life. You know, you might get killed.
Yeah.
And I was afraid. I started getting messages and threats, too. But that was after.
It's a little later.
Yeah, after we got outed and all that stuff.
And Gnomes talked a little bit, if folks haven't heard her episode yet, she talked a little bit about the process of Sam indoctrinating her because there was physical harm that happened. There were more, there was a lot going on besides the aforementioned coercive tactics.
Yeah.
Okay, so then things start picking up.
Yeah, it was incredible. So we still needed a victim to come forward. And because I wasn't attacking the Samuelites, because I hadn't attacked the FLDS, because I continued to be kind and empathetic no matter where they were in their journey, a victim felt like I was a safe person to come to. So she did. And her name is Julia, and she seemed upset. I said, Julia, what's going on? Whatever you tell me, I'm not going to tell Sam. Are things okay? And she said, no. And she let me know that there were things going on. But even before her, the reason I knew is because there was one of the young wives that was having secret meetings with me named Mikkel.
Mm.
And Mikkel was giving me as much background as she could, but they kept her in the dark about a lot of things. But I had some background. By that time, I knew Sam had married all these little girls, including as young as age 9.
Jesus Christ.
Okay, so when Julia came to me, I already had a background on some of the things. She wanted to talk, but she didn't know if I was going to tell Sam. I wanted to tell her everything, but I didn't know if she was going to tell Sam. And I knew I had to get evidence, so we were doing this dance. Like, can I trust you? Can I trust you? Right? So the next day, she came over, and I had my box of evidence from my own personal experience when my prophet had written things. And I said to her, Julia, no matter what has happened, I have no judgment. I had to get naked as for part of my tests and do things I would have never done and subject myself to abuse, something like that. And I said, I want to show you some of the writings from my prophet. And I get out some of his actual writings, including handwritten letters from prison. And she was amazed because I thought, if I tell her my story, then she'll know I'm really not going to go to Sam, that I've been through this. That was my strategy, and it worked. So I didn't even have to go through all the box or anything. She just hit this point, and she told me later, when you told me your story, I thought I had no idea how deeply she would understand this, and that she was the right person. So she said that is when she let the floodgates out. She started telling me everything. Then I was recording it, and she was, did a lot of crying. But she wanted me to record so she wouldn't have to say it again because it was so emotional to the FBI. And then I told her I was working with the FBI, and then I had to help her gain trust in law enforcement, which is no small feat.
Of course.
You know, but then she did, and it was the fact that it was a woman was very helpful, and that Dawn was so kind. She was incredible. So then Julia, Dawn, the FBI special agent in charge, and I just became this tornado of productivity.
It's just like so dramatic, like these 3 women working together in secret to take down this guy. Like, it's so amazing.
Oh my goodness, when we were doing it and we knew, we were scared. Like when we were doing this, Sam was still teaching blood atonement, and he told Julia that she needed help make sure this got enacted on her own husband.
That he was killed, essentially.
That he gets killed, yes. And because Sam was jealous of him.
Right.
And jealous of the other men, because remember, he took the wives from them, but the wives wanted to stay with Moroni and Lud.
Yeah.
At least with Moroni. And he resented.
Yeah.
And he rebuked those wives for still thinking about him when they were crying, when they had to go to Sam and all this stuff.
He's such a baby.
He's like a baby with a grenade. It's so scary. I mean, you can politically make whatever connections you...
Look at me.
Yeah.
Look at me jump around.
Yeah. He wanted everybody to see him. So he put his wives in this flatbed trailer and drove around town with all these... They're beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
These are beautiful, smart people. And he would want all the men to see him, you know, showing off his prize horses as he drove around town. All these beautiful young girls like me, you guys. They like me. I got them.
Wow.
Your life was on the line, and watching that documentary is bone chilling. How you must have been petrified.
I was petrified at times, for sure. One time I got in my car and was driving away, and I got a phone call from Sam, and he said, "You look very lovely in your pink dress with your blue sweater," or whatever I was wearing. And I thought, how does he know what I wore today? And I realized, does he have cameras at my house?
Yeah.
On my house?
That would be what would come to my mind.
Yeah. I mean, I freaked out about it. I did video journals. I sent them to Lola in case something happened to me.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
I have a bunch of WhatsApp history and voice memos.
Yeah.
And you must have been petrified too, Lola.
Yeah.
It's so scary. You're really dealing with a psychopath.
And I got some literal death threats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know? And once I hid at Lola's house because I was afraid that they were going to make good on their threat that I would be dead by New Year's.
Because that's after they found out.
That's after they found out,
Yeah.
though. Yeah.
Well, I remember talking to you both once where I was just like, I'm very scared. I don't, blah, blah, blah. And you guys were like, there's a donkey.
The donkey alarm system.
That's true. You guys, that's true.
I was like, I want more, though, than just a donkey.
I swear, though, the second you walk up, that's a bad donkey noise. I can't do it.
True.
So there's a donkey that lives on your property, or was, that would make a loud noise. And that was our security for you.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true. It's a miniature donkey. We still have him. I love him.
Now they have a real alarm system.
Good.
But we
as
do.
well.
We do.
Good.
But yeah, at the time, I mean, yes, I took comfort in that there were people at your house. There are always people at your house.
There are. And when we knew that the arrest was imminent, we started moving Julia out of this one home where everybody was living, right? So we call it the Blue House. And so secretly, in the middle of the night, Julia would put boxes of her stuff in these bins. Now, she had a cleaning company, so she would have these gray bins with all her cleaning stuff. Like, I think they were like gray with yellow lids, you know? So she would put like 4 of them by the door. And then Mikkel, this beautiful young girl who's also a singer, I mean, she's over 18, but she would take those bins, put them in her car. So people at the house thought it was Julia's cleaning supplies, but we were secretly moving them out, you know, every night. And if Mikkel would have been caught, she would have been in a very bad way. But that's how we did it. She hid her stuff in her cleaning bins so nobody would be aware. So she was primarily moved out before the raid, but she finished moving out afterwards anyway. So then there was a raid. Yes, it worked.
Yeah.
That was a thing.
That raid could have been a disaster without you. We've talked to so many people who have lost family members in raids. Yeah, they can get really ugly.
And what was that like for you?
It was scary. The night before, Tolga and I had a hugging, crying session. If anything happens to you, I want you to know you were the best husband.
Oh.
I was sitting on his lap and we were just hugging and rocking, you know. It's like, I had the best life. We just did this, like, goodbye.
Because he's with Sam and you're with the girls.
The next day, he was to be with Sam and I would be with the girls. And we knew they had weapons. You know, we knew the girls had said, if anybody arrests Sam, we're going to level the state of Utah and Arizona. We knew they'd been out doing target practice, learning how to use these weapons. So... But we also knew we had to come through. You know, when I was driven, I did not want them to go through any more abuse. And I did not want them to have the hole in their heart that law enforcement never cared like I had, that their guy would never get arrested. I was determined to get him off the street. Mm-hmm. And so, whatever it took, so we did. So I went over in the location where the girls were. We wanted to separate Sam from the girls so there'd be a less chance of violence. And Tolga went with Sam, and it was handled very well. It was scary, but there was no violence. and we had the doors open so they didn't break the doors in, terrify all the little babies, So it was an incredibly intense time for everyone, so emotional on so many levels.
Yeah.
But the people who had done the raid, there were 50 law enforcement from around places, and when they were not told who the informants were, so they treated everybody the same.
Oh.
They threw Tolga on the ground.
They did?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. He had to get handcuffs,
Oh, wow. Wow.
They just didn't know who I was.
And that was intentional so that you wouldn't get treated differently?
Yeah,
Or?
yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
They took our phones like everybody else's. They interrogated us. And Julia, when the FBI went into her room, I was trying to let her know. I couldn't let her know that it was about to happen, but she was so scared. She was on pins and needles that they wouldn't come in time. I couldn't tell her, so I called her early in the morning, and I just said, "Julia, are you dressed?
Mm-hmm.
You might want to get dressed. You might want to look pretty."
Oh, my gosh.
That's all I said. "You might want to get dressed right now." But she still didn't know.
Wow.
But when they came into her place, she said she just wanted to hug them.
Yeah.
Just wanted to hug them. While everybody else was so angry, she was like, "Thank you, thank you, thank you."
Oh, my God, yeah. Can you talk just briefly a bit about conflict you felt in your head knowing that you were going to betray their trust?
When I think about how I escaped my situation, it was with the help of someone who brought me into reality kind of forcefully in a way, But I had to be that person. And I love these people so much. I still do. Even though they hate me, I know that's not who they really are. And I just didn't want to add to their suffering, and I knew it would. It was rough. I had to get therapy, to live that double life and to deal with the anticipation of how much I was going to hurt them. But I had to come to the conclusion that I was hurting them for their own good.
Yeah, you had to be the real adult in your life at that moment.
Yeah, it was like I was they were drunk and I was taking the keys to their car away, whether they wanted me to or not.
Right.
Now, a number of people have woken up and come out and are incredibly grateful. That's great, but not all.
Yeah.
Not all.
Not all.
No,
Yeah.
Probably not most.
What did it feel like when you knew the raid was over and it had been nonviolent?
I suppose it would be like running a marathon and winning, and then for 3 days afterwards, you've got still all this nervous energy, but it's happy. Something like that.
Miracle.
And so now this series is out and the whole world knows who you are. It's not something we talked about, I think, in our original episode, certainly that we've talked about between us, which is what your research centers around, which is media misrepresentation, and how your story of your original experience with Our Prophet was not told well when people had told it. It victim blamed you. It, it re-traumatized you, and so that's become something that you're passionate about. How do you feel now, having been a part of this series?
Oh my goodness, I feel really overjoyed. It was so ethically complicated, and the story was complicated. So when we entrusted all the footage to someone else, we were in it. It was too big for us. We had to. But we had to just hope that the director, Rachel Dretzen, the main director, but then there was also longtime family friend Elise, who was a director, and also Jamila. And so we just turned it over, and I didn't just hope that they would do it well. I did as much educating as I could to Rachel about my hopes and why.
Yeah.
I talked about my experience. I talked about everything that I knew that creates victim shaming and why it was so important to give the psychological backdrop of everything. And I suspect she knew all that anyway. But I wanted to feel like I tried really hard to impart the need to treat these people with dignity and see them as victims even if they committed crimes because of Sam. And the way it turned out was amazing. I couldn't have done it better because the public response has been to want to embrace these victims. I haven't seen a single comment that has been victim shaming, even for the people who still believe in Sam. And, you know, I've been inundated with DMs and emails, and those words are a dream for me after what I went through. To see them treating the survivors of Sam Bateman with so much dignity, I couldn't have asked for better directors or better team.
So, dear mother,
Yes.
first of all, just like, what a fucking life you have
You're
lived.
a hero.
It's
I don't use
crazy.
it lightly.
Thank
You're a
you.
hero, and you've
Thank
been a
you.
hero to me. You're one of the first people who's gotten through to me. We
Thank
both
you.
love you so much.
Aw.
My
You've-
best friend.
You've saved so many lives. Yes,
Yeah.
you're America's best friend.
Honestly, I get so many comments too, just being like America's mother,
Mm-hmm.
and I do feel
Hello,
like
children.
it's true. But like,
Be kind to each other, please.
and I'm not responding to all of them, but like, that's how I've always known you. Long before this, long before there were any cameras, no one ever around to see. Like, if anybody ever is like having trouble and they call you, you answer and you talk to them for like 2 hours, even if you barely fucking know them. Like, that's just always been who you are. And like, you always have been doing service in private and secretly, and when no one is watching. That's just like, and I was annoyed by it growing up, if we're being honest. I was like, stop letting, I don't want all these people around.
I know. Sorry.
But so it's very exciting for me to see that now everyone can appreciate who you are and what you've done, and just like truly can attest it's just you've always been like that.
And then to give the dignity to your own story that was stripped away. Like,
Yeah, it was healing for me. To you know, this was the story of 3 women, me, Julia, and Gnomes, who had all suffered abuse, who came together and took down a monster.
Yeah.
It was girl power,
yeah,
and I couldn't have done it without Tolga.
yeah.
He was my secret weapon. But this was really about women finding their voice.
Yep.
And for me, it was full circle narrative arc.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
after what the docudrama did to destroy me and make me
The
feel like
the old one.
the old one,
Yeah.
make me feel like the most slut-shamed mother on the planet. Now, to be honest, I feel like the most loved most loved woman on the internet.
And you should be.
And oh, you're so kind. I know it's going to go away, but I'm savoring this moment, and I'm thrilled with all of the changes and the impact that is coming from people who've watched the documentary. I get to talk to students. Teachers have me zoom in to talk about coercive control because of the documentary. I mean, I've already done like 5 educational Zooms. But then other people say they found the strength to turn in their abuser because they were inspired by Julia, the real hero,
Yeah.
who
Yeah.
really had her life threatened.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
I mean, I can't stress it enough what the inner power and strength she had to come up with what she was facing.
yeah.
You make a great point. There's so many heroes in this story. The FBI agent,
Yes.
she was incredible. I keep making a mental note that we have to drop her full name in the intro because there's so
Dawn Martin.
There's heroes on heroes on heroes, and yeah, thank you beyond words for doing the work that you did, even though it could have gotten you killed, and you still have threats. But thank God for donkeys and alarm systems and
Yeah.
your voice.
Yeah.
And for me, thank you from me. Thank you to everybody who has watched it, been touched by it, and told other people to watch it, and made some kind of change as a result of it. That is something, the response to be this great, to go #1 globally on Netflix, and to have just won a Critics' Choice Award. It almost startles me
It makes my heart beam.
Oh.
Yeah.
It makes my heart smile and beam. It's just so right.
Yeah. And for me, sorry not to harp on this for too long. I know we have to wrap up, but I'm just really happy that like what you've gone through in your life, because you have been through so much adversity and you have been traumatized and had so much taken from you. The fact that you get to use that, the fact that you got to use that, not only to help them, but also like to tell the story in this larger way, is just so fucking gratifying.
It's resilience.
Yeah.
That is resilience.
Post-traumatic growth.
It's post-traumatic growth. It's resilience. And
it's turning trauma into triumph.
That's her slogan, folks.
It is. I got it in there.
And if you experience trauma and you want to find meaning from it, watch this documentarian. Watch this documentarian.
Watch this document.
Watch this documentary. And where can people follow you? What can
Follow
we be?
me on Instagram, Dr. Christine Marie. There's a dot after the R, like Dr. Christine Marie. I'm on TikTok, Dr. Christine Marie. I haven't really started doing TikToks yet, but I'm going to.
Neither have we, don't worry.
And I have a website, christinemarie.com, and I have a lot of resources on there. If any of this speaks to you and you need some help, check out my resource page.
We love you.
Amen.
Thank you.
Amen.
Why are we
Amen.
saying mercy?
I don't
Amen.
know.
God, it's just God.
No.
You
Okay.
say-
Gosh. And instead of amen, I will say, indeed. Thank you, Mom.
Love you guys.
Thank you, Mom.